What's going on, you guys? Pet Platypus here, and it's time to talk about Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. Before we get started, I want to let you guys know that this video will contain spoilers, so if you haven't seen the movie yet, maybe go check it out because it's fucking fantastic, and then come back and watch this video. The short answer is, yeah, it is fantastic. It's not an amazing movie, but I loved it. It's funny as hell, it's action-packed, it feels like you're watching a comic book movie on screen, it's just so good. There's like 4 after-credit scenes, by the way, I'm just gonna let you know. Stay for the entire run of the credits because there's 4 of them and they're all cool in their own way. So yeah, some are funny, some are setting stuff up for later. It's cool. They're all fun, so yeah, go ahead and check those out when you watch the movie. But yeah, it's just a fun time. Rocket Raccoon gets really cool character development as well as just being a really funny-ass character who just does not care what he says to anybody. His savagery knows no bounds, and it's amazing. And then you have the unintentional savagery of Drax, who's just brutally honest with everybody, and that's very funny. You got Gamora trying not to go insane because she has to deal with these idiots on a daily basis. And then you have the story of Star-Lord, and what happened to his father and who his father really is, and that goes into really cool places. The villain of this movie, while his overall plan isn't anything special or anything phenomenal, I liked him as a villain. I thought that they did a really good job with him. Surprisingly, given Marvel movies, that's usually their Achilles heel, is the villains being kind of lame. I really liked the villain in this movie. A lot of the new characters we get are pretty fun and creative, as well as returning characters like Yondu, who gets a nice arc in this movie, and you get a lot more out of him, and he was actually a really fucking awesome character. There's a scene in this movie that I'll talk about when I go into, spoilers, that is just... oh my god, it's one of the coolest scenes in the fucking movie, dude, with his little arrow that he used at the end of the first movie. It's phenomenal. So, yeah, that's great. I really do just really appreciate how well all these characters and all these actors, how well they work off of each other. Like, you never think for a second that Rocket Raccoon isn't there, even though he's obviously a CGI effect. It's just, you always feel like he's there, that they're talking to him, that they're interacting with him. It's great. Baby Groot, who doesn't want a Baby Groot after seeing this movie? He's very funny, very adorable. I don't think he's the cutest thing ever, because he is like a weird little tree monster thing, but he is still really fucking adorable, and, yeah, he's fun. He fucking makes the intro of this movie just fantastic. You just know you're in for a great ride once you see the intro of this movie. It's tons of fun. Absolutely loved it. The after credit scenes truly do border on parody, having 4 of them, but they are cool in their own ways, so, I mean, that's cool. And, yeah, it's just... I don't know what else to say without really going into the spoilers. It's just a fun movie. It's a great time. It's unique. It's interesting. It feels like you're watching a comic book. It's just awesome. It's a great experience. I definitely recommend to go out and see it if you haven't seen it. But now I'm going to go into spoilers. I'm going to talk a little bit more in depth about what happens in the movie. So again, if you haven't seen it, click away. Here we go. I'll start off with Kurt Russell's character, Ego the Living Planet, I believe is his name. He's Star-Lord's father, which the trailers do tell you that, and you do find that out pretty early on in the movie, but they don't really tell you that he's the villain. Now, you could probably figure out he's the villain from watching the movie, just because there really is no other big bad guy for most of the movie, so, except for, Taserface, which, oh my god, that scene's amazing with Rocket, just roasting that guy endlessly and mercilessly. It's amazing. But yeah, other than him and other than the gold people, I mean, I guess the gold people could have been the main villain. They're the people to throw you off the scent of Ego. But yeah, seeing him and Star-Lord interact and him trying to master his celestial powers and playing catch with his dad, which was kind of funny but also kind of cheesy at the same time. But it worked overall. Because the movie itself, it has a talking raccoon, talking baby tree. By the end of the movie, you see a planet with a face on it, which looks really fucking cool. And I'm glad they gave us that visual, because that's such a comic book visual that they could have easily avoided for a live-action movie, but they just went for it, and that was awesome. You know, no Galactus fucking giant space cloud bullshit, you know what I mean? This is actually, going for it, comic book style, and I really appreciate that. Stan Lee's cameo is fantastic for a lot of reasons. You can either take this cameo as just a really funny scene where he's just out in space because he's Stan Lee, or you could actually take it serious and be like, oh shit, Stan Lee is actually all of these characters making cameos and he's out chilling with the Watchers, which I didn't know what the Watchers were, before watching this movie. Now that I know that they exist, I don't know anything about them. I just know that they exist in the Marvel Universe, and that's who Stan Lee was chilling with. That's interesting. Nice little cameo there. I don't know if they're important to the Marvel Universe or not. Someone who's maybe a little more comic savvy can let me know in the comments below if they're important, if you think they'll be important in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, or if they were just a cool cameo for comic book fans. But it was cool to see Stan Lee chilling with him. He's like, I used to be a FedEx guy, and that's just fun. So that's a great cameo. Easily one of his best, actually, in my opinion. You always got to look forward to the Stan Lee cameo, and that was definitely one of his best. That, and like Amazing Spider-Man 1, and like fucking Deadpool, I believe, were all really good cameos. So yeah, I'm trying to think, there's more, he has so many, but yeah, those were all really fun ones. But getting back to Ego, I kind of got sidetracked there. Getting back to Ego, he really is one of the better Marvel villains. That's not to say he's fantastic, but his interactions with Peter Quill, the fact that he's his son, the fact that he really did fall in love with the mom, and that if he had gone back to Earth to see her again, he probably wasn't going to leave. I like that there was a bit of humanity to him, ironically enough, considering that he's a Celestial, even though he did bang like a bunch of alien chicks in order to get a son or a child that could, son or daughter that could have his Celestial powers. It turned out to be Peter Quill, but he tried, but the mom was still the one that he fell in love with. He wasn't bullshitting when he said that, and he's the one who gave her cancer, which is really intense. It's a really intense scene, and that is a scene where I feel like they probably could have held back on the humor a bit. Because he finds out, he blasts the shit out of him with guns, and then he like turns, I believe that's the scene where he turns into David Hasselhoff for a second. And yeah, it's funny, kind of, and I am nitpicking, but I feel like you could have given that a little bit longer before you went into the jokes, because that was a heavy reveal. And a reveal that I kind of saw coming in the moment, like when he started the sentence and he started saying, yeah, I really loved her, I would have probably never left, I was like, he's gonna say he put the cancer in her, isn't he? And that's what he ends up saying, and it's a really intense moment, and yeah, and from there, the movie just explodes in this huge climax. It's fun, there's nothing really like bad about the climax. There are really fun moments, especially the tape scene, like the full tape scene that was in the trailer is great, it's hilarious. The Pac-Man, that was that was wildly inappropriate to put into a big emotional climax like this, but I love it for it. It was so fun, and just it was amazing. When I say it's inappropriate, I mean everything is so serious and the planet's collapsing and all this stuff. And it's like, let's put in Pac-Man with sound effects and everything. That is sort of inappropriate, but that's what makes it so fun and so ridiculous, and just so the movie doesn't give a shit in the best ways possible to give you a fun experience that still has the emotion and still has the character and has the heart. It's not just a comedy, despite being funnier than most comedies I've seen. Yeah, it's great. And like I said, the emotional moments, they're there. You get a lot between Gamora and her sister, which is a nice little, relationship that gets explored. The scene with Mantis and Drax, where he starts talking about his daughter and his family, and she touches him to feel the emotion, and she just starts sobbing. That's a great moment. I really like it. And then, of course, Drax just calling her ugly in every way possible is just so fucking funny. And Rocket Raccoon with taser face and taking the dude's eye, because he's like, when he wakes up in the morning, he's not going to have an eye, and he's just laughing his ass off. He's such an asshole, but he has heart. There's a real him there. Him and Yondu go heart to heart with each other, how they're similar. And then the scene with Yondu where he gets the fin. Okay, I know I'm jumping around and fanboying about this movie, but it is so much fun. When he gets his new fin, and he takes the arrow and just starts slaying everybody with it. That was one of the coolest scenes in the movie. The music, the way it was shot, and the bodies just falling. Rocket in that scene as well is just, oh my god, it's so good. It's so fucking good and so fun. And that's what I love to see in these Marvel movies. I mean, I like them when they're emotional and serious, like Civil War. I think Civil War is still the best movie in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Civil War is just fantastic, but this is probably, like, it's coming up on, like, a second place. I just saw it, so I'm fresh off of seeing it. I still have that high. I'm clearly fanboying in this review, so potentially a second favorite, but I really like the first Avengers and Age of Ultron. I really like Winter Soldier as well. So I like the serious Marvel movies, like Winter Soldier, like Civil War. They have their comedy, but they're more serious. This one's just a ton of fun, though, man. Like, I wouldn't blame anybody for saying this is one of their favorites in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. It is so much fun to watch with so much creativity with the aliens. My only real criticisms of the movie are that I feel like Sylvester Stallone was criminally underutilized in this movie, despite the fact that it's very clear they were setting him up for later. That's what it feels like. He's barely in the movie. You don't get someone like Sylvester Stallone for such a bit part. Of course, he's going to be explored later. So that was kind of disappointing. Because you feel like that's set up for later, and mainly because of the actor playing him, which probably isn't fair. And a lot of these criticisms are going to be nitpicks, because I really did come out of this movie absolutely loving it. Like, if this was any other movie, a lot of these criticisms would probably be a little stronger. Like, oh, they put in humor during a part that really didn't need humor, or, it's an emotional moment, why are you making a joke? But because it's Guardians of the Galaxy, because you got this talking tree, because you have a planet with a face, because you have Rocket Raccoon, because you have all these crazy alien designs, and it's clearly having so much fun with itself, the intro of the movie, all the actions in the background, Baby Groot's dancing to music, because you have all of that, it's okay to have a really genuine emotional moment and then follow it up with a subtle joke. Like when Mantis is like, he said I was ugly, and Gamora's like, no, you're not, and Drax is like, what? And he points at her like the brutal honesty of Drax in this movie is so funny and it's so fantastic. They really made him a lot funnier than he was in the first movie, and he was still really funny, but his character's still there. The heart of his character and his family and how they died and everything, that's still there in that other scene. That scene actually right before the joke with Mantis, that's still there. He's not just a joke character, which I really like. All of these characters have solid depth to them. In fact, I'd almost want to say Peter Quill might be the least. I mean, he got a lot with his dad, don't get me wrong. And that was all good stuff, but I feel like when I think about Rocket and how there's still a backstory to him, like why was he made, why does he exist? The being an asshole and stealing the batteries and all that shit being, kind of not a cover, but he's one of those characters that treats everyone like shit, but he has a heart and he doesn't want to open it up and everything, that kind of thing. That's there. Gamora and the sister, and how the sister seems like the psycho bitch, but then it's like, wait a minute, I wanted a sister. You always kept kicking my ass because Thanos is a shitty fucking dad, and the stuff you find out about that with taking off her body parts and shit, like, we get a little bit more evil from Thanos here than probably more evil than we've gotten from him at all throughout the Marvel Cinematic Universe, because all we've really seen is him talk and like turn to the camera. That's pretty much it. Now we know what he actually does to his like adopted kids if they fuck up in combat training and shit. So he's fucked up dude. You expect him to be a fucked up dude, but I like that his presence is felt whenever Gamora and Nebula, I think it's Nebulous or Nebula, whenever they're interacting. So we get a tiny little bit more about Thanos. Still has a presence in the Marvel Universe, so that's good. Speaking of having a presence, we also got a Howard the Duck cameo. Again, we had him in the first movie as well, and that's just ridiculous, but amazing at the same time. Again, it's just such a fun movie that it's almost like the anime JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. You see problems here and there, or you see certain scenes that are kind of like, but you just have fun with it. It just has fun with itself. You just don't take it that seriously. But the emotional moments still have weight to them. There's still heart there. It's a weird anomaly. It truly is. But it's fucking awesome. Like, it truly is awesome. I love this movie. I gotta give it, like, the way I'm praising it, you might think I'm gonna give it an 11 out of 10. It doesn't, maybe it is an 11 out of 10, honestly, because I'm trying to think of major issues I have with the movie, and I can't really think of any. Before I saw the movie, I heard it was kind of a little too Star-Lord focused, and the other characters don't have much to do, but I could not disagree more. I thought Rocket Raccoon got good characterization. I thought Gamora and the sister got good characterization. Baby Groot's just kind of Baby Groot. I mean, he does stuff, but he's kind of just there to be cute. Drax, I guess, doesn't really get much to do, but he does still have a nice emotional moment there. He is very funny. So yeah, I mean, you could say he doesn't have a ton to do in the movie, but I disagree that it's too focused on Star-Lord. He does get a lot of focus. It is the main arc is him and his dad, who is a good villain, which I can't say that enough because of Marvel's track record, especially being played by Kurt Russell. The actors are definitely helping because the dude in Doctor Strange, not a great villain, but that dude did bring it in the performance that made him a bit better than average, and I feel like either at worst, that's what Michael Keaton's going to do in Homecoming, or at best, he'll just be a genuinely great villain, played by Michael Keaton, which will be fucking awesome. So, we'll have to wait and see. I can't wait for that movie. I guess one criticism that would be a little bit more than a nitpick is that I thought the gold people were I don't want to say underutilized in the movie, but because the movie is so packed with characters, they're like a primary antagonist for a good chunk of the movie, but they don't really do much, you know what I mean? Like, they just kind of bring in their drones every once in a while, they're here and there, they're kind of funny in how stuck up they are. They have a lot of personality, there's still a lot of personality coming from them, but they don't do a lot. They almost feel like the Spanish in the fourth Pirates of the Caribbean movie, where they kind of just, they're there, they exist, and then they come in for the final climax, and it's like, well, they didn't really feel like they needed to be in the movie. These guys do need to be in the movie, because taking the batteries is what gets everything going, and how they meet Ego, and then, of course, the batteries come into play when they make the bomb at the end, so, yeah, they do matter. I just felt like they could have gotten a little bit more screen time, but they set things up in the credits with, I believe, Adam Warlock, possibly? I don't know. She just said Adam. But I'm assuming Adam Warlock. I don't know anything about that character at all, but we'll have to wait and see, because that could be really cool. What else happened in the after-credit scenes? We had Teenage Groot, which was funny. The Stan Lee cameo gets a second part, which was fun. And then Sylvester Stallone's team, which I believe is another Guardians of the Galaxy team. Like a different roster. I don't know if it's a previous roster than the Star-Lord team, or if it's a new roster. I'm not really too sure. They all look cool, and they all look like they could be fun characters, so yeah, definitely want to see them in Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, so that's cool, but yeah, that's the after credit scenes. Lots of comic book stuff that I didn't know, but or don't know much about. You know, like the Watchers being in the Stan Lee cameo. I just thought those were alien guys, and then I saw what the Watchers look like in the comics, and I was like, oh shit. Oh, yeah, if they, are going to matter in the future, I have no idea, but still, having the Watchers there, kind of interesting. Really don't know anything about the Watchers other than what they look like and what they're called, so if they're important, go ahead and tell me. This was a fun time at the movies. You know what? I'm going to go for it. I'm going to give Guardians of the Galaxy 2 an 11 out of 10. But maybe you guys feel differently. Go ahead and tell me in the comment section below. What did you guys think of Guardians of the Galaxy 2? You can go ahead and tell me in the comment section below. You can also give this video a thumbs up and share it on social media. Both those would help me out a lot. Subscribe if you haven't already, or if you like what you see in here. Click that little bell to get notifications when my videos go up. I want to thank you guys for watching, and I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.